Welcome back to another episode of That Westfield Podcast. Today we are joined by Dr. Cortney Goodstadt, who is a doctor of physical therapy and a functional medicine practitioner. What's up, Cortney?
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this one. Everybody doesn't know. This is my favorite topic. We just talked for like half an hour before even recording, and hopefully half of that good stuff makes it out to the show. So, again, welcome, and so why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, how you get started doing all this, and then we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes, the grass-fed meat and potatoes of functional medicine.
Okay, yeah. So I am Cortney Goodstadt. I am doctor of physical therapy, and I have my own health journey, which I guess we'll get into, but it really led me down to this path of holistic healing. And when I was in like the midst of like a health crisis, I guess we'll call it, I found a health coach, and it really opened my eyes to like a whole new approach that I was never really exposed to as, conventionally working in hospitals and doing, knee replacements and working with stroke patients. And then it really being on the other side as a patient, it really was just like, oh my God, this is what people are treated as. And I was just like shocked and upset, and I was like, there's got to be a better way, and I found it, and I found answers, and then I just kept on learning, and I became a functional medicine practitioner, and now I treat people, and I want to empower people, and teach them that there is a better way.
Right. So for those who have not been fortunate to experience what you and I have gone through, essentially, maybe you don't feel well for a couple of years, you go to the regular doctor, all your tests are normal, they're like, maybe lose some weight or this or that, maybe get some fatty liver, some like things that we consider normal nowadays that we know are not normal, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's 5 to 10 years later and you get worse and worse and worse, you kind of start exploring some other alternative stuff like acupuncture, maybe change your diet a little bit, but then you're still unwell, right? You're still looking for answers, and you're like, what is going on? And if you're lucky, and unfortunately, it's always out of pocket, right? For 99%. Right? It's like you find a functional medicine practitioner who can help you find the answers, right? And mainly through deeper testing, right? So, like, what are some of the testing that that a functional medicine practitioner would do as opposed to a regular doctor?
Yeah, so we do like a comprehensive stool test, so that really looks at like the microbiome and that. We do more inflammatory markers on blood. In my practice, I look at the hair tissue. I do a hair tissue mineral analysis because that really gives a better snapshot of how your body's utilizing things. The blood is very tightly regulated, and it's only looking at serum. So it just like what's happening at that particular time.
Right, snapshot in time.
It'll snapshot. So it'll pull from like vital places where just to look quote unquote normal to have a normal level. So for example, it'll pull from like your bones, the calcium. Mm-hmm. It'll look normal on blood, but we don't know what's happening in the tissue. So I look deeper into like that dynamic because those things all really give a bigger picture of like, okay, why do you feel shitty?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Like, really, I want to know. I want to know why.
Right.
Yeah.
So people call this like looking for the root cause of what's going on, looking upstream to figure out like what's actually going on, because especially with women, right, and our hormones that fluctuate on a consistent basis. It's like you can go for a blood hormone test at your doctor and like, oh, it's normal, but it's like, what day of your cycle are you in? Or like so there's only so much information you can get. So getting additional testing helps to just open your eyes more to what else could be possibly going on inside your body.
Right.
So I was showing you, and I just want to give people examples of this because I think sometimes we don't understand it until we see it. And there's some people who know that like testing isn't everything, but testing can be one, a really great guide, especially if you've never done it before. And two, I think there's certain people like me, like I need to see things on paper before I really believe them. So like for example, like a GI map or a GI test, right, where people send a stool sample in. If you were looking at my old results, right, you were saying how like they don't look so bad, right? And there's things that like can be seen or known from here. So like like how people would like what kind of probiotics or something they would eat. So like tell me more about what stool tests can help guide people in knowing and understanding.
Yeah. So the stool test just looks like the bacteria in your gut. You want to have a good, you don't want to be overgrown into bad bacteria. You want to have good bacteria. So that really gives a lot of information about like what's going on with your body, how your body's handling certain things. Because if you're having overgrowth But just because I see you have an overgrowth or something, I don't automatically go, okay, we got to fix that. I kind of use that to be like, what are your symptoms? What else may be contributing to that piece of the puzzle? Why is it overgrown? Why do you don't have candida, but I see a lot of candida, which is like yeast overgrowth in the gut, which has caused a lot of GI issues or even like skin issues, hormonal issues, whatever it is. But I also say, okay, that's what your experience. I see this, so maybe that's causing it, but what else is causing the overgrowth?
Well, heavy metals, right?
Yeah.
How would heavy metals contribute to candida?
Well, interesting that which I see toxins. I mean, this is I love talking about toxins because I don't love toxins, but like again, like this was one of the things that like doctors do not look for that, and I was like, I was really like physically sick, like my skin, I was just a mess, and toxins actually, metals and particularly mercury was a problem, but your body is always it wants you to be healthy, it wants you to heal. So it's going to respond to that environment. So if you are exposed to heavy metals, the candida is going to grow too because mercury binds to candida. So it's kind of trying to protect you. It's a protective mechanism.
Right.
So if you see high candida, it's like, you don't want high candida, but it's there as a protection, mechanism.
I mean, I don't love it, but like, I love that that's how our body works, and that's almost like everything. I use the example of like your thyroid too, right? And like how, how gluten mimics, what is it?
Molecular mimicry.
Molecular mimicry. Right? So like, if you eat gluten and then your body thinks like it's something that it needs to, so it looks similar to the thyroid gland, right? So that it's like if there's something wrong with thyroid, basically my point is like things can look like other things, or like your body has these mechanisms in place to protect you in all different ways, and it's like it's doing it because it has to, and it's so brilliant.
Right, and then your body sees it as an invader. So it's like, I see something that's not supposed to be here. I want to help you get rid of it. So it gets a little tripped up because it's so similar, like molecularly. So it's, again, your body is smart, and you just knowing this, and I want to, teach people when I see like what their picture is, this is what's going on for you, and then support their body to get back into homeostasis and give it the things it needs to get back on track.
That's so good, right? And there's always puzzle pieces that you kind of put together, especially if you have like a more chronic condition, right? So I think a lot of things we're seeing now, just in a snapshot in time of the year, like I would say 2018 to now. Obviously, like a lot of hormonal disruption, probably from toxins, right? Like plastics and things like that. I just saw an article that like they're finding plastic in like men's sperm.
It's everywhere. Everybody has toxins. Sorry to say. But that being said, like, so we can't live in a bubble. I want to sometimes and like avoid everything. But we have to build up our own body strength to be able to eliminate them properly and deal with them and build up our resilience. It's really about like the resilience to these things.
I love that. And that makes so much sense because it's like, I used to be fine. How can I be 24 and party all the time? And this, and now like
your bucket's full. We only have such capacity, so we want to be able to live our lives in this like toxic world and not worry about like the plastics or the toxins in my water. I mean, you don't want to be like nilly-nilly about it, but you can avoid where you can, but we can't avoid it everywhere.
Right. And so this is where like people, I'm at a point where I watch everyone still like our age, like just like, drinking still and partying and eating like shit. And I'm like, you must have amazing detox pathways. Like, how can you?
That's great, but then don't complain about being like having problems. Like,
I don't think that they realize that they have problems. Like, they just think like they're a little overweight or their joints are, because they just think that they're getting older. Like, I'm 42.
Yeah, those are the messages. Like, but again, I want people to know they have a choice. They have control of these things. Like, what you do every day is impacting your health and everything.
Right, because it's like everything we put in our mouth is like cellular information, right? And it takes that and it figures out what it's going to do with these things, and it can affect anything from obviously like our livers and kidneys and all the things from toxicity, but also like our blood sugar regulation and metabolic health. We are the most metabolically unhealthy country in the world, right? It's like food is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Just one piece, So
what do you recommend to someone who's kind of like, they're like, I'm in that boat. I haven't been feeling well for a while. I would like to get like a base of like different kinds of testing and like unfortunately, they can't even ask their doctors for these. Like, they won't run them, right?
No, regular doctors won't run them. I mean, I could look at regular, blood markers from their doctor, that the basic CBC,
Right.
complete metabolic panels, and I can see, I look really close at the normal range is so wide, and if you fall in that range, the doctor will be like, you're fine.
Ooh, explain ranges and how they've changed over.
Yeah, well, the normal goes on like the standard, population, but our population the default is not well.
Right, we're getting sicker, so
yeah.
the range.
So you don't really want to be in the normal range, you want to be in the optimal range, and that is certain markers on certain parameters of different things. So like, for example, I quote unquote fired one of my doctors because like at the time when I was really sick, I was learning this stuff, and she's like, oh, your thyroid's fine, but I was like one away from like the low on my T3.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to be there. That's not fine. So I'm like, don't tell me you're fine. Like, that's not ideal.
Right.
It's not ideal. So you're being told you're normal and you're not really.
Especially with symptoms, right? Like, so it's not like you felt great and you're like, oh, this happens.
If you have symptoms and you're in the low range, and you might thrive in like a higher, a tighter range that you want to know. So again, like so I can start there. People are not able to purchase these, because they are expensive. Mm-hmm. They add it. But for me, so that's why I was bringing on like the hair tissue mineral test, because that really is an affordable test. It's easy. It's not invasive. Mm-hmm. It looks at your mineral levels in your hair tissue, which gives you like it's really like a 3-month span. And it also it can give us information about your thyroid, your adrenals, your blood sugar regulation. It looks at heavy metals. Heavy metals displace minerals. Mm-hmm. Again, I like that test, and sometimes that's really a great place to start, because if you don't have the proper minerals, it's like the foundation. You need those for enzymes.
Right.
Again, for thyroid, people say, oh, I have hypothyroid or thyroid. Well, maybe you're losing potassium, because you need potassium to drive the thyroid into the cells, like on a cellular, sodium, potassium. You remember back in biochemistry, sodium, potassium.
Not pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So those are the things like, okay, but let's look there first to see. And it also, which I love, shows us how, even if you take a supplement, how it's being utilized. Because if you're stressed, your adrenals are burning through magnesium, or calcium's being deposited in soft tissue, which you don't want it. You want it in the heart, the bones and the teeth.
Right.
So I can see that on this test and be like, well, your adrenals, your body's responding to the environment and the messages. Mm-hmm. Stress, I always incorporate stress in the treatments, because if you're eating the perfect diet, or you're like, you say, I'm doing all the things, I'm working out, or I'm eating the perfect diet, but if your adrenals are like fight or flight constantly, you're burning through stuff, and your messages are just dysregulated.
Yeah, you just impact so many awesome things. So, I mean, that's exactly what happened to me when I had the restaurant. I was really stressed out, and I was never hungry, right? Because I had too much cortisol, and so I was just like eating a muffin and a coffee in the morning for like 5 years, and then I completely blew up my adrenals, and then I had thyroid issues, and it set it off in a way, right?
Yeah.
And so what I want to go back to real quick with thyroid, because I think this is something that everybody overlooks, and every single person in the world should have this check. And like when you go to a regular doctor, they'll just test your TSH. They're not doing a full thyroid panel, right? And so there's so much more beneath just that one number. And with that number, they say 0 to 4 is the normal range, right? But we know it's like for around 1 essentially is optimal for most people.
Yeah.
Maybe a 4.
If you're above like a 2, you gotta look.
Right. Something else is going on.
Yeah.
Right? And that seems like, so normal. And there can be fluctuations. Like, again, I was just really sick and stressed, so my TSH actually went up a little bit. So I'm not going to freak out about it and go like, what's wrong? Like I had a flu, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe there's stress in the body, right? So the stress in my body is going to affect my metabolic health. It's going to affect my thyroid. And so these are the things the whole point of functional medicine, I think, is to learn to understand your own body, because there's so much bioindividuality, and like one size is not fit all. One size
Does
fit
not fit
all.
all. No, one size, everybody's body. And the interesting thing is your body's going to prioritize its need first.
Mm-hmm.
So like it can't fix everything all at once. Again, I love the testing, but if you really have a lot of issues, we're going to find a bunch of like, you're going to look like crap maybe at first on all that. You're going to have like dysbiosis, you're going to have low thyroid, like all the things, but you can't be like, take this. Your body's going to prioritize the first thing. And sometimes just fixing that one thing, everything kind of like falls into place.
Yeah, right.
So I like to really like, that's why I work with one-on-one, because one person's treatment plan is going to be completely different than the next, because I see like that person, I treat the person and not what I'm finding on a lab test.
So I love what you said about like the remineralization of stuff, because it's so easy for us to get depleted. And I would say this even with diet, right? People are always like, oh, what foods do we need to cut out? It's like, why don't you add the good stuff first, add the nutrients, add more vegetables, add more protein, and then you won't crave or need the bad stuff as much, right? So it's kind of the same thing, like with these minerals that our body needs. It's like once you give it what it actually needs, some of the bad stuff will kind of start to fade away.
Yes, but
you tell me it's okay.
No, it is. But again, like minerals are tricky because minerals, they have to be in balance.
Right. So what's an example, like a zinc copper example?
Zinc copper is one. So if you don't want to take too much zinc because you'll cause copper deficiency, and you need copper, but you don't want copper. Well, copper is a tricky mineral because it needs to be bound.
Okay.
And it needs to be bound by ceruloplasm, which is made, I know I'm getting
Give us an easier example of balancing.
So here's an easy one. And this is, a lot of people take calcium for osteoporosis. I have osteoporosis, osteopenia, they take calcium. But calcium needs magnesium to be delivered into the bones. And most of the times we have enough calcium, we just don't have magnesium to drive it in, to pull it in the bones, to put it where it needs to be. So there's a synergistic component to minerals. And then there's the stress piece, which drives everything where we want it to go. So just taking a mineral isn't enough. We have to make sure it's balanced and we have the right capacity with our nervous system. And that's really what a program was I put together, because it really has to be like kind of treated hand in hand.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we could talk about illnesses and all these balances. But tell us definitely more about what you do, how you help people. I know you have a new program coming out, and we just added another test to your repertoire here. So tell everyone a little bit more about those things.
Yeah, so I have this program that I'm collaborating with Amanda Dahl. She is an energy healer, and she's great, which you know her. She's amazing.
She was my line coach like a year ago. Is that how you found her?
I found her through you, And
she's phenomenal. She's so good at so many things. But definitely the energetic side of it.
I mean, we collaborated because energy is one of those things that like saved me, like mindset clearing out, because you can't heal if you don't have the right energy in the cells. And minerals give you that vitality, and like it's like charging your cells. Like if they have they're like low battery. If you are low battery and you try to kill all these things or rebalance, you're gonna feel worse.
Right.
So the goal is to get you rebalanced, but it's not as simple as taking the minerals. The other factor to that is like clearing the energetic path to be able to receive and put these minerals in place. So we are collaborating with this program called the BEAM program, Balancing Energy and Minerals.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so the test is included in the whole program. One hair tissue mineral test, which I will give you like a full report on what I show, and then the plan, how we're going to like get you back in balance. And I'm working with Amanda too to help clear that energy, to help support bringing you back on track and getting back to feeling better. And those two things together is like an amazing, like working, because you can only like some people are so blocked energetically. So like you could take the minerals and you can work on that, but really optimizing the utilization of it properly is like another kind of element that we're going to really support you with.
I love that, because I think if anyone has been battling a chronic illness for a long time, you know that like energetically, like something is off, right? You always know what it is. You just kind of think it's stress. I think most people are like, just stress, and it's probably part of it for sure.
Well, it is, and like what I'm seeing on some of the tests that I'm running is people are. It's like you're depleted because again, when you are stressed, either with like mental stress, but it could be like because of a viral thing, and your body's like trying to keep up with that demand, and you just lose magnesium, you lose zinc, and you lose potassium. Those are the first things, because your body's like, oh my god, I gotta like keep up with this demand. Like there's like stress or past traumas come up too, and so it's always, your body's always trying to protect you.
So smart. Yeah, so like so it'll pull from like your stores, your bones, your tissues.
Yeah, and I see this a lot too. Again, with the toxins, like your body, it will deplete certain minerals too, because they take the place of the minerals too. Mm-hmm. Or if you're depleted in zinc already and you have exposures to mercury, it'll kind of be like, I don't have enough zinc, but I'm going to pull the mercury's close enough that I can kind of fit it in this. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's happening to me. I'm like, okay, I need to balance this out.
Right. So you can feel that, like, when you're getting off balance, like in your own body, you can kind of know like what thing is wrong because of all the work.
Sort of. I mean, I have such tools and support that I feel good. I mean, my labs look like crap, but that's part of like the rebalancing. Like they can kind of like go up and down. Like my liver enzymes been crazy.
Right.
But again, like the body is, when it gets enough energy, it's going to be like, okay, I'm strong enough to start eliminating these toxins or these viruses. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. That's part of the process. It's not like, I think people come and they're like, okay, tell me what I got. Tell me how to fix it.
Right.
It's an ongoing, like, I know, thing. But once you know, you can do it. But but the demands, you've got to keep up with the demands of your body. Yeah. And the demands are not always going to be the same.
And women always have this problem too, right? But everybody else, before us, put ourselves on the back burner a lot, or we think like we just push through things, and you can, but at a cost, right? Our bodies can really handle a lot for a very, very long time, until one day it's just like, nope.
Right. It has a threshold, and at one point it's going to be like, that's like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Right. Exactly.
Again, I think that's like people like with perimenopause and menopause are getting like, but that's not new. That's the cycle of life. We all have perimenopause, and then we go through menopause.
Right.
The body isn't having the tools to compensate the change. So if we go with the flow and we give it what it needs to put up with that demand of the hormonal shift, it won't be such a bad transition.
Right. And that's the thing, everyone's just blaming perimenopause all the time for stuff, and it's like, is it? But
it's not. It's like that's the way the body, this. It's like we go through puberty. It's not, is it puberty? And then we go through perimenopause. It's like, we know that's the process. Right. So don't blame the process.
Right. I saw this video this morning, and it was talking about how men only have to worry about one hormone and women have to worry about three, right? They have to worry about estrogen, testosterone, and the progesterone. And it's just like, oh my God, like it's like we always do have more. We're just more complicated, right? We have more things going on.
It's a little trickier,
Whatever, we're still awesome. We're still the best.
Totally. Yeah, we're stronger. Yeah.
We get focused a lot. So one thing I want to touch on for sure real quick. We have about like 7 minutes left, but I know when I had Fettle and Fair that I saw a lot of people like us, right? That's how I met you, and people on this health journey. But then I started to see a lot more people coming in with sick kids struggling with more autoimmune diseases, more toxicity stuff. I mean, the moms had to be gluten or dairy free because they're breastfeeding, and the kid was having allergies, and I mean, like a lot, like to the point where I would be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and that was an interesting viewpoint that I don't think a lot of people got to see it. As a doctor, I think you see it, but not as a food restaurant person. But that was watching the patterns over the 6 years. I was like, something's going on here. Something's really wrong. It's like, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I see this a lot in my practice too. I see a lot of younger girls, like, in their 20s coming in. I think it has to do with just the food and the toxins and the environment, and it's unfortunate, and I know.
What do we do? What do we do?
So we just have to support our body to be able to handle this load, because we're in a, like, you know, we are getting a high load. It's demanding on our body. So if we can support the body to handle it and optimize the system and our resilience to it, it won't be so bad. Obviously, we want to, you know, avoid fast food, and we don't want to eat crap, but we want to live our lives, but we have to be smart about it.
Right, for sure. Do you work with children too, or just adults right now?
I don't work with children, but I do have to say I feel like the hair tissue test would be a good place to start. And I've done that with my daughter, who is 14. So, and that gave me a lot of good information to be like, oh, this is where we can start supporting her.
Yeah. That's helpful. And it's not invasive or anything.
Oh, it's not invasive. It's easy.
Snip and
yeah.
If these tests were around when I was a kid, I feel like my life would be so different.
Yeah.
It would, you know, I never really thought about that till right now, but, you know, I'm like, wow. Yeah, if I had like a crunchy mom in 1994 who could like do a hair test, right? Like, it would have saved like so much grief and agony like over the years, because, you know, the sad reality is that if things go unchecked or untreated for a long time, like they will probably get worse. Like sometimes our bodies can work things out for sure, but you know, I think because of this overload, it's like you can't get away with doing nothing anymore. You have to do something.
Right, and that's the unfortunate thing, is that we go to the doctor and they're looking for a disease. So again, with the markers, like, if you're not falling within that bad range, like, they're like, oh, you're good, keep doing what you're doing. But whatever you keep doing, if you're driving in the wrong way, the next time, maybe not the year, but maybe in like 3 years, you'll go back and be like, oh, I have this. How did I get this? Well, it was developing years before. And if he or she
so frustrating,
could have told you, like, well, this is kind of in a range that we're not good. Let's do some changes now so we can change the trajectory and get you, like, you know.
You just hit the nail on the head. This is my biggest, like, grief with, you know, the medical industry. They will literally wait until it's bad enough to treat it with a medication instead of...
Exactly, yeah.
Besides telling you, oh, maybe lose weight, feel a little overweight. Like,
that's why I want people to know you have choices, because if the choices, you want to kind of take control of your health, you want to be proactive, and you want to know, like, what you're doing to help, you know, not get sick or be healthy going forward as you age, then it's, you know, then call me. Like, let's talk, you know, like, call me. Let's talk, because I don't want, it just makes me so, like, ugh.
It's crazy. Yeah. But the good news is that there are options now. A lot of people get frustrated. They're like, what do I do if my doctor's not helping? It's been years. It's like, there are more options.
Lots of options.
It's functional medicine in any regard, right? And starting with basic testing and getting to know your body on a whole other deeper level is the best place to start. So tell everybody where they can find you, your website, how they get in touch with you, your Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yeah, CGood Wellness. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and cgoodwellness.com. And just message me, and if you have any questions, I'd love to chat.
Awesome. Cortney, thank you so much. I think I'll have to have you back for another one, because
we'll get in the weeds. Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to talk about. It's crazy. But guys, don't take your health for granted. It's, you know, it's one of those things, like, you don't really appreciate it until you don't have it anymore. And it's, you know, everything, I think most things are fixable. Like, no matter what you have going on, even if you are someone who's chronically ill and you're confused, like, there's always a path forward. So give Cortney a call. She'll help you out. And see you guys next time.